Welcome to Science Views from the Valley. I'm your host, Dr. Kelly Kassan. Science Views from the Valley is a monthly program that will explore interesting science topics and how they relate to the San Luis Valley and the Upper Rio Grande region. Good morning. I hope everyone is having a lovely summer this year. Today, I would like to talk about how animals defend themselves against predators, with particular emphasis on aposematism, a defensive strategy that uses warning coloration, odors, and/or sounds to deter predators. Animal defensive strategies include running away, hiding, and camouflage. Often, the strategy used by these animals is obvious. Deer, antelope, and horses have long legs and are known for their speed. Rabbits and rodents are often brownish-gray and blend in against the soil and dead underbrush of their habitats. Even those that are brightly colored, like the Bengal tiger, become invisible against the vegetation that is lit by sunlight filtered by the jungle trees. But sometimes these bright colors make an animal more obvious to predators, which is counterintuitive unless you understand why these animals want to become conspicuous. Some animals incorporate poisonous or distasteful substances in their body. But how do predators know that they are distasteful or poisonous? What stops the predators from eating them anyway? How do these potential prey survive the first bite? Aposematism is a method where prey animals announce their distasteful, poisonous, or otherwise dangerous features through bright colors, easily recognizable patterns, odors, and/or sounds. Once a predator has attacked or eaten one of these aposematic species, the predator remembers the features of the prey item and will not attack another animal with similar features. Aposematism was first recognized in 1867 by Alfred Russel Wallace, a British naturalist who called the phenomena warning coloration. Today I would like to describe some examples of aposematism and invite you to look around nature here. You might see some examples of aposematism in your area too. The most common variation of aposematism is through the use of bright colors. The most effective colors are red, yellow, black, and white, since they contract well against vegetation. A well-known example would be the milkweed butterflies, which include the well-known monarch butterfly. Milkweed butterflies incorporate toxins from milkweed plants that cause vomiting or death to the predator. These toxic steroid compounds, called cardinalides, are highly toxic to vertebrate animals, the fish, amphibians, reptiles, birds, and mammals. Cardinalides are very bitter and inhibit enzymes that are needed to keep the vertebrate heart beating. Monarch, queen, and the plain tiger butterfly all lay their eggs on milkweed plants, which hatch into larvae that consume the milkweed leaves. All of these butterflies also exhibit aposematism, having bright orange and black markings. The larvae of these butterfly species, commonly called caterpillars, sequester the bitter cardinalides into their own tissues. When birds eat a milkweed butterfly or caterpillar, the cardinalides cause them to vomit within 10 minutes. Once a bird has eaten a monarch queen or plain tiger butterfly and vomited, it will avoid all orange and black butterflies, even those that do not have toxic compounds. Another aposematic insect that sequesters toxins from milkweeds is the milkweed bug. Like the milkweed butterflies, this bug also has distinctive black and orange markings that signal their distastefulness and toxicity to predators. Another aposematically colored species you may be aware of is the ladybug, also known as the ladybird beetle. These beetles, which are considered very beneficial to farmers due to their consumption of aphids, scales, and other crop pest insects, are red or orange with black spots. Ladybugs produce an oily, yellowish-colored secretion from their leg joints. This secretion has a very foul odor and is toxic to lizards and small birds that may view ladybugs as prey. The black and yellow stripes of stinging bees and wasps is very distinctive. Most animals and humans will avoid any insect with that color pattern, even if the insect is not actually a bee or wasp. This color pattern is so effective as a warning to predators that many harmless fly species have adopted this coloration and pattern as protection. This co-opting of aposematic coloration by harmless animal species is called Batesian mimicry. But aposematism is not reserved to insects. Nudibranches, commonly known as sea slugs, are marine mollusks related to terrestrial snails and slugs. Nudibranches often have bright patterns of blue, red, yellow, and white. They are one of the few predators that will eat marine sponges, which produce noxious chemicals as a defense. The nudibranches will incorporate these noxious chemicals into their own tissues, becoming unpalatable to potential fish predators. Another aposematic mollusk is the blue ring octopus. This octopus has a distinctive coloration of blue rings which advertise their venomous nature. One blue ring octopus, which are only about 5 to 8 inches long, can produce enough venom to kill 26 adult humans. One of the primary components of the blue ring octopus venom is tetrodotoxin, which is the same neurotoxin that is produced by the pufferfish. Fish can also be aposematic. The mandarin fish is a bright blue fish with orange swirls, making it very conspicuous in its ocean habitat. But most predators avoid these fish because it exudes a very malodorous and bitter mucus from their skin. Some species of another marine fish, the fang blennies, are also aposematic. These fish are brightly colored with dark horizontal stripes, advertising to potential predators that they are venomous. This venom is painless since it contains opioid compounds similar to morphine. Though the venom is painless, it can produce nausea and dizziness. The venom also reduces the blood pressure in any vertebrate predator, causing it to become slow and uncoordinated, allowing the fang blenny time to escape. Another aposematic fish is the lionfish, a venomous fish native to the Caribbean. These fish have bright red, white, and/or black bands, warning potential predators that they have venom-producing spines in their fin rays, which cause excruciating pain, nausea, vomiting, convulsions, and sometimes death. The venom is a unique combination of proteins, a neurotoxin, and acetylcholine. Though the lionfish poison rarely causes death in humans, it does cause extreme pain, sweating, and respiratory distress. Interestingly, lionfish are popular in the American aquarium trade despite their poisonous nature. Amphibians are known to be poisonous. For example, the cane toads, an invasive amphibian in Australia, secretes a deadly toxin through its poison glands located behind the head. But few amphibians are aposematic. The exception is the poison dart frog. Poison dart frogs are native to Central and South America. These frogs may have blue, red, orange, or yellow base with black markings, depending on the species. The common name of these frog species comes from the indigenous people's use of the frog's toxic secretions to poison the tips of their blow darts. The poison dart frog toxins are lipophilic, meaning they dissolve in fats and oils. They are alkaloids that, when it enters the bloodstream, will cause paralysis and eventually death when the respiratory muscles are affected. The poison, however, does no harm if it is consumed, which is why the indigenous tribes were able to eat the meat of animals killed with these poison darts. Poison dart frogs, like the milkweed butterflies, sequester poisons from their food. The female poison dart frog lays unfertilized eggs, which contain some of the poisonous alkaloids, for their tadpoles to eat. This provides the tadpoles with some chemical protection. The female frog also carries the tadpoles on her back, which provides additional protection. When tadpoles reach adulthood, they eat ladybug beetles, millipedes, ants, and moss and beetle mites. All of these prey items, especially the mites, have alkaloid compounds that the frogs will sequester into their glands that secrete body fluids and mucus. Though many reptiles recognize warning coloration in its prey, very few aposematic reptiles are known. Coral snakes may be the exception, since coral snakes are brightly colored with the familiar red, yellow, and black rings. This coloration pattern is advertising one of the most potent venoms produced by a North American snake. The coral snake venom is a powerful neurotoxin that can paralyze respiratory muscles in mammals and birds. The red, black, and yellow coloration is recognized by raptors, which avoid attacking coral snakes. The coral snake's aposematic coloration is effective enough that it's also used by the harmless king snake, though the king snake does not have identical coloration. This difference in coloration is referred to in the mnemonic rhyme, red and black, friend of Jack, meaning the king snakes, red and yellow will kill a fellow, coral snakes. If you forget the rhyme, do not worry. Though king snakes are sometimes seen in southern Colorado, coral snakes are not known to exist here. As strange as it may seem, birds can also be poisonous. The pitahui is a group of brightly colored orange and black bird species that live in New Guinea, an island off the coast of Australia. The toxin is secreted in the skin and the feathers of the bird. Reports indicate that even touching these birds will cause numbness in the hands and fingers. Like many aposematic species, pitahuis do not produce the toxin themselves, but attain it by feeding on toxic beetles that is a large part of their omnivorous diet. The pitahui also emits a noxious sour smell, which may serve as another aposematic characteristic. Using odors as warning to predators is called olfactory aposematism and will be discussed later in this show. Aposematic mammals are less common, but one familiar example is the skunk. The conspicuous black fur with the white dorsal stripe is recognizable not only to humans, but also to most other mammalian predators. Skunks have two anal glands that produce a spray with an extremely strong and highly offensive odor. The odor is caused by sulfur-containing compounds and is not only malodorous, but is an irritant that can cause temporary blindness in mammals. The spray is so strong that a human can detect the smell up to 3.5 miles away. Wolves, foxes, badgers, and even bears will avoid skunks due to this very potent spray. As I mentioned, odors can also be aposematic. This phenomena is known as olfactory aposematism and is primarily seen in plants and fungi. Most mushrooms lack distinctive colors, but do produce volatile odors that may serve as a warning that they are toxic to fungi-loving predators. Amanita, commonly called the death camp, are known to emit odors that serve as a warning of their toxic properties. Unfortunately, humans have an inferior sense of smell and cannot detect this warning odor. A marine coral species, the octocoral, was discovered in one study to produce terpene compounds that signal to potential predators that they contain chemicals that will cause vomiting. The study found that shrimp and zebrafish will avoid any potential food item that contains terpenes once they have ingested a single octocoral. The Peruvian Crayola katydid, an insect closely related to grasshoppers and crickets, secretes a pyrazine compound from a specialized gland that repulses potential predators. The smell of pyrazines is similar to old asparagus. Pyrazines have been shown in other studies to serve as warning odors for plants and certain insects. Red-winged blackbirds and domestic chickens were found to avoid anything that contains pyrazines. As you can imagine from the name, Crayola katydids also have color aposematism, so they use both colors and odors as a warning to predators. The celebrated paleoanthropologist L.S.B. Leakey hypothesized that humans also use aposematic odors to repulse most predators. Leakey developed his hypothesis after observing his experiences with lions. Up to 5 lions, some of which entered their tents, approached him and his students on several different occasions. Each time, the lions sniffed at their heads and left without attacking. Leakey thought that the lions, based on the smell of the human body, was warned that human flesh was unpalatable. Leakey's colleagues at the time disagreed with this hypothesis, noting that large felines like leopards and tigers readily eat other primates, including large gorillas. Yet researchers in 2009 discovered that most feline attacks on humans were caused by sickly, injured, aged, or starving individuals, indicating that a healthy adult feline would normally avoid viewing humans as prey. Another study found that in regions where feline attacks on humans were numerous, their natural prey were absent, depleted, or removed. The conclusion was that felines would not attack humans for food unless they had very few other options. More recent studies have found that large carnivores in North America, including the brown bear and the gray wolf, can detect human scent and will change their path to avoid encountering humans. Sounds can also serve as warnings to predators, a phenomenon known as acoustic aposematism. Perhaps the most famous and easily recognizable aposematic sound is the rattle of the rattlesnake. Colorado is home to 3 species of rattlesnakes: the prairie rattlesnake, the Masaga rattlesnake, and the midget-faded rattlesnake. All rattlesnakes are venomous to other vertebrates, including humans. Rattlesnake venom is a stable mixture of lipids, enzymes, and other proteins that are hemotoxic, meaning that the compounds destroy tissue, causing necrosis and disrupted blood clotting. All rattlesnakes have a distinctive rattle sound that they create by vibrating a hollow series of interlocking segments, which are actually modified scales. These modified scales are made of keratin, the same substance that is found in our finger and toenails. The vibrations cause the segments to vibrate against each other, creating the rattling sound. A fun fact about rattlesnakes: they do not lose the rattle when they shed their skin. Instead, a new segment is added to the rattle. So you can estimate the rattlesnake's age by counting the number of segments in the rattle. Another example of acoustic aposematism is seen in tiger moths. Bats eat a lot of moths, but will avoid tiger moths because they find them distasteful. tiger moths produce an ultrasonic sound that bats can hear. A 2005 study tested this observation to see if this ultrasonic sound was aposematic. Scientists rendered some of the tiger moths mute while leaving others intact. The data found that bats would avoid tiger moths that produced the sound, but would readily eat those that were rendered mute. Another insect that has acoustic aposematism is the common silk moth. The caterpillars are able to click their mandibles together, producing a sound that was found to deter potential predators. Silk moth caterpillars regurgitate a foul substance that repels both insects and mammals. So those are just a few examples of aposematism. I invite you to explore and observe other animals in our area and see if you can find additional examples of this defensive strategy. In other science, the San Luis Valley will have plenty of astronomy events to observe in late July and in the month of August. The Delta Aquarids meteor shower will peak on July 28th and 29th. The comet that created the debris in this meteor shower is currently thought to be 96P Machos, a sun-grazing, short-period comet that orbits the Sun every 5.3 years. Unfortunately, the Moon will only be slightly waning after the full moon on July 24th, so the light from the nearly full moon will block the fainter meteors. Best viewing will be after midnight, with many of the meteors radiating from the constellation Aquarius. Saturn will be in opposition on August 2nd, when the planet will be at its brightest for this year. The planet will be visible with the naked eye all night, but you will need at least a medium-sized telescope to see the rings and a few of the brightest moons. One of the best meteor showers to observe, and one I have watched many times over my lifetime, is the Perseid meteor shower. This shower will peak on August 12th and 13th. This meteor shower is the result of debris left by comet Swift-Tuttle. Swift-Tuttle is a long-period comet with an orbit of approximately 133 years. Swift-Tuttle was last seen in 1992, so it will return long after I'm dead in 2126. A crescent moon will occur at the time of the Perseid meteor shower, which will allow for very good viewing. Most of the meteors in this shower will radiate from the constellation Perseus. Jupiter, the largest planet in our solar system, will be in opposition on August 19th, when the planet will be at its brightest this year. A pair of decent binoculars will allow you to see Jupiter's largest moons, Io, Europa, Ganymede, and Callisto. These moons are also known as the Galilean moons, since they were discovered by Galileo when he was observing the skies with his telescope, which had the magnification power of approximately 20x. The moons Europa and Callisto are still being explored as possible site for extraterrestrial life. I hope you enjoyed my talk today on how animals defend themselves. My next show will be on August 26th and will cover a favorite topic of mine, how biology influenced historical events. This will be part 1, and I will discuss some of the ancient historical events that were influenced by biology. I would like to thank the KRZA staff for their help in broadcasting this show, and to all of my Science from the Valley listeners. Have a good day.